We did a podcast with Karen Kegg yesterday, who has moved to Ecuador from the United States. She's arkansasreiki.com. But anyway, she's working with an indigenous man and the Quechua people and talking about the prophecies of the eagle and the condor. And the one of the really fascinating things that she talked about from their perspective, we think of the globe as the northern hemisphere and like North America, and the southern hemisphere is South America. And they think of it as side by side. They don't think of it as one is on top of the other. They think of it this way, and that the equator goes this way because it moves from, well, I guess that would be, depending on which way you're looking, east to west, following the sun. And so that really just made me feel, think about that. Like, when did we decide that's the way it works? Because from whatever perception you're in, it can work any of the directions. And then with the equator and how she's at the 0 degrees equator, 20 minutes one way, the water all flows one direction, and the other side of the equator, where she lives, it flows the opposite direction. And so then one of the sessions I was doing this morning was really talking about that, not this specific topic, but the person I was working with has been talking about the, or had just come back from a trip on the other side of the world, and really connecting her in with the groundwater coming back here. And that's one of the things that I've noticed, both personally, but also in sessions, that when you travel, really take even a few moments with Reiki and connect in energetically with the groundwater, because the flow of the water underneath you does affect your kind of stability, equilibrium, feeling, in place and in alignment with where you are. So when you travel to another place, when I travel somewhere else, I always just take a moment and connect in with the groundwater, the earth underneath me, but particularly with that flow, the flow of the water. So anyway, I don't know what made me think of that, just thinking of the northern and southern hemisphere and how we are in different seasons in this community. We have people from both hemispheres that join us all the time. And here we're talking about the springtime and all the beautiful colors emerging in spring. And then for others, many of you, the beautiful colors are turning to the autumn tones and those shades of green. So anyway, I just loved the whole conversation and the idea of the concept, and the concept of the prophecy of the eagle and the condor is the merging of the eagle being the representation of the northern hemisphere, and the human being more in our mind. And in the southern hemisphere, the condor represents the heart and how we are unifying, really, the unity of the two, and how that really relates to Reiki, and how Reiki does do that with us, helps us integrate with our heart, because culturally, of course, we're very much in our minds. And then, in my work over the years, hearing so often, you need to drop into your heart, see what your heart says, and always also thinking, well, my mind has something to say about what my heart says too, and how important it is to allow that unification of both. So anyway, the prophecy that they're working with there is that unity and how much that is in alignment with Reiki energy, and how Karen is there to assist the people where she is, creating their center, their spiritual center. And she's able to bring in many of the practices, technology, and things that they don't have a lot of skill with, where they're really bringing in those heart skills. And so, anyway, I can't remember exactly when that gets posted, but it was such a great podcast. And then I see that, people here are, Kelly mentioned the white buffalo calf that has been born, and several of them that have been born to part of the Dakota traditions of the prophecies of the white buffalo and white buffalo calf woman. So anyway, that's a little bit aside from what we were going to talk about today, but it just was such a, I've been thinking about it all day, with the idea particularly of thinking of the world view of it being side by side rather than up and down. So who knows? I guess it would depend on where you're looking at it from if you were out in space. So just the wanderings and wonderings of the day. So I don't know more about it than that, but I like the idea of thinking about it, those topics. So anyway, well, Robyn, hello, and everybody else, hello, as we're arriving here.
Hi, sorry, I couldn't get my mouse to the unmute button. Hi, everybody. Good to be here. I just wanted to mention our classes really quick. We have a couple of spaces left in our Reiki 1 and 2, although that starts tomorrow. So if you're watching this later, you'll have had to, you won't have a chance to join, but there is room in our Reiki Masterclass. And then also
Animal Reiki
Masterclass. Thank you. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And even if you're watching this on Thursday or listening to this on Thursday and you are wanting to do it, email us and we can open up a spot for you. And then also Colleen is teaching Karuna in May. That is, Danny's like, mention that since she only teaches us a couple times a year. Is it the 17th, 18th, and 19th? Yeah.
It is. Yes.
So she doesn't teach it again until October. So if you've been hearing Karuna calling at you, maybe even quite literally, because you learn to chant and tone the symbols in that class, go check it out. It's amazing. So I just wanted to say that. And I think that is kind of it for our announcement.
I'll make one other announcement too that I'm excited about. I was just talking to Brett Bevel, who is sponsoring the Wisdom of Reiki retreat in the Omega Institute in June. And I'm presenting there, which is June 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. That's in Reinhold, New York. So I've been to Omega as a guest and been to the retreats. This is my first time presenting about animal Reiki. But anyway, if any of you are there and thinking about it, it's a great retreat and really beautiful grounds. And then the other one is we have the Sedona retreat Labor Day weekend, which is fabulous. We've been doing that for many years. That's also offering online if you can't attend in person. And the online has been resolved to be a good quality of presentation. A couple of years ago wasn't a great quality, but last year that got all resolved. And so I'm confident now in talking about the online class with that one too. And then one more quickly is William Rand and I are teaching both Reiki Master and Corona Reiki Master in Japan the end of October, beginning of November. So you can get in touch with us at Reiki Lifestyle about it all. So anyway, thank you. And lots of good things in the chat for people with sending Reiki to everyone as well. So, all right. Well, Robyn, should we talk about our topic?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead and get started.
Okay. So the last couple months we started off really thinking, we get a lot of requests for people asking us to talk about tips and tricks for Reiki businesses. And as you know, it's a huge subject. And, to people get master's degrees, doctorate degrees in business practices, and there's years long practices of it. So we've just been kind of trying to help you think about things to think about. And so, we've talked about identifying your ideal client or avatar. And again, this doesn't have to be for those of you that want to have a business. You may have a Reiki practice where you are working with friends and family, or Reiki is for you exclusively. But a lot of times this helps you kind of center in on what the meaning of your Reiki practice is for you. So if that is for business, we've been talking about some of the business techniques. And then in the middle of it, realizing that we had these huge astrological transits coming through. And we don't spend a lot of time talking about astrology here. Robyn and I aren't overly skilled in it. We have just enough knowledge to know a little bit about it. We do have like Taylor Norris here, that's a great astrologer, and some of the others, Ali Ayala, that shows up, and also Martha Lacey. And then, of course, we do Molly McCord podcasts too. But anyway, we had some really big transits occurring that we knew would be affecting each of us individually and collectively. So we also focused in on those topics. And one of the big ones was to really think in terms of what your highest intention is for, or intentions are for your Reiki practice, your Reiki business. And then we realized with the transit that there was also the part that, like, you may not know yet. You may not know what that is. And letting go of the need to know, or the requirement that you should know, or that you should set your intentions, make your goals, make it all happen. At the same time, as these transits have passed, part of the big one for that Jupiter-Uranus transit is about these new beginnings of identifying your highest intentions and what that means. So for any of you that haven't followed or been here for each of them, we did a lot of Reiki journeys with automatic writing for you to go in and investigate that on your own through your own inner truth. So we've moved into now on the other side, where we're moving into that new beginning. And last week, Robyn really talked about goal setting, and how you may have goals for today, goals for a week from now, goals for 6 months from now, a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. And also still bringing in that ability to not need to know. But when we go into the states of consciousness that Reiki takes us into, often things are revealed to us that we're not thinking in our mind, or they're differently coming through differently in our mind. And since I did talk about the eagle and condor prophecies of the mind and the heart working together, is sometimes what's in your mind is different than your heart, or your heart is different than your mind, or your practical abilities to really like manifest or set the goals that you may, in your heart, you may want to establish. And in your mind, it's like, well, my timing's off. I have other things that are priorities, other things that I have to do. And we also look at the different categories of those in our life. Sometimes we're focused on something like business, sometimes our spirituality, another time it's our personal life, could be our health, our finances, our relationships, our home. And so all of these things show up in different areas in our life, and the different areas in our life show up in a variety of cycles in our life. And so today what we wanted to talk about is really bringing in the concept of manifestation. And we're also talking about that. It was interesting because this came in independently of our Next Step class that is next week. For those of you in Next Step, in the level 1 class, is all about manifestation and conscious choice. And of course, we're there for, a longer time. So we go into a deeper dive about the subject. But really thinking about what it is that you may want to be manifesting. And the manifestation can be everything, from something I think I shared with you a couple weeks ago, that I've been asking to really notice beauty. And I've been asking that for a while. And now I have, that has manifested. I am really out wandering and wondering, on my walks, and just kind of dazzled by the beauty around me, the colors around me. And so, manifestation can be a specific accomplishment of a goal that, we think of as a traditional, I want to manifest a certain number of clients a week, or I want to manifest a certain number of students in my Reiki business, or I want to manifest a new job. I want to manifest good health. Right now, I want to manifest a sugar-free diet. It's like, yikes. I think that may be part of my tiredness, is I have been on just this sugar thing. And it's like, okay, Reiki, help me with that. Bringing in that mental emotional symbol and the Karuna symbol, NOSA, really helping with some of those things.
Just mail me all your sugar here. It's okay, Colleen. I'll take care of the sugar for you.
There's Kaz. I don't know if you saw Kaz in the chat. Somebody was asking about you. Where's Kaz? We miss her.
Please.
I DM'd her.
I just got up.
You just got up. Oh, good for you.
I know. I was real busy yesterday and doing laundry and up and down off the ladder and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I didn't want to get up. But so, I don't know, when the teacher says, get here, the student has to get here. But it's good to see everybody. I love you all.
Oh, we're glad you
love you. Just send me the sugar, babe. Send me the sugar.
Oh, send it all to you. Pack it up and
yes.
Send you my freezer stash.
Yeah. Freezer stash. Yes. It's all good. Everybody be well. Love you all.
Oh, we're so glad you're here. Thank you, Kaz. So anyway, so what we thought we'd talk a little bit more in depth about, and, again, and you guys, because this is a short time that we're with each other, these are bigger subjects, but it gets you thinking and it gets Reiki flowing on some of these topics. And so what we see with manifestation sometimes, particularly if we're thinking about business manifestations, and again, this is not to only focus on Reiki businesses, but that's what people have been asking for. So we wanted to talk about that too. But a lot of times, some of the challenge with manifestation in business practices and a Reiki business is the first thing is where to start. Like where do you even start? What are business practices? What do they look like? If I'm going to manifest something, what does that look like? If I'm going to take action on it, what does that look like? And it can even be overwhelming because there's such a quantity of things to think about, from, the practical, efficient things that we need to do, prioritizing things to do, time spent, time management, resource management, things like learning about marketing. And I think I'm actually pretty skilled with it and not even close to skilled enough. Robyn has a business degree, so, she's has those skills, and we have people that work with us with that. And it still can be, I know for me, even like, what does that even mean? What is marketing? Like, what is that? And then breaking that down to the simplicity of how do I tell people about me and what I do and how it helps them. And so yesterday we had we're doing a new website, and we're working with Kim Parker with the Merriweather Group, and she was watching our website with us, and she said, well, you don't really say anything about how skilled you guys are. I was like, well, it's kind of hard to say it about myself, and it's just like writing your own bio, for instance. It's like, oh, how do I do that? And I have this credential and that credential. And I always talk about what people really want to know is how does what you do help them? Like, how does that make a difference in their life? And so communicating those ideas is really a lot about marketing. And then for me, there's also time. And that was a big one where we have, learned over time to actually put things in our calendar. Like, we have team Reiki meetings. Danny and Robyn and Sarah and Sue and I get together, and we have meetings even after this, for instance, where we talk about all these things, and we have dedicated time for the discussions and then dedicated time to complete the tasks. But for me, I had to actually put that in my calendar. Like, otherwise, I'm very ADD, so I'm going to have all other kinds of thoughts that I could think about in any given moment, forget what I was going to think about, what my priorities are, and how to manifest them. Another place that, and I would say for me, that would be the challenge of efficiency. So how do I get more efficient in my prioritizing what it is that I actually want to manifest? But then sometimes that partially the lack of clarity. Like, I may not even be clear about it. And then I find sometimes too that, like, on a day like today, my brain isn't that functional. And so my energy is off, and I have Reiki to help me, get into alignment with what I'm thinking about, so that I can focus on what I'm prioritizing. Sometimes there's a financial stress. For instance, some of you may be in the place where, you really need to hire somebody, for instance, and to help with some of these ideas, some of the things that you want to manifest. But then that takes finances. Also, the finances of manifesting, and how does that all work? So there can be a lack of understanding. There can be some of the burnout with it. I don't really personally run into a lot of burnout because I love it so much and I love the topic so much. And to me, it's so endlessly fascinating that I don't really ever feel like, oh, I'm just burned out. And I also, because it's Reiki energy, never feel depleted. So that's another piece of it is I'm like today, I feel tired, but I'm not depleted, which is different. And that's even helpful for me to be self-aware. Like I'm not depleted. I'm just like, my brain's kind of fuzzy and probably due to the sugar and all of those things. So anyway, those are some of the difficulties that you might run into or the challenges. So what we thought we would do is talk about some of the solutions for that and get the actionable steps. But sometimes I personally find that to be easier to do when I'm in the Reiki energy. So we're actually going to do another Reiki journey where you'll have the time to both let go of some of those obstacles that I just talked about, some of the challenges and manifestation, and then the time while you're in the Reiki energy, you can either think about it or you can do free writing, automatic writing, and write some of the things down that you want to manifest. You've thought about your intentions. You've thought about some of your goals. Now getting to the manifestation. So out of all of that, getting some clarity about what are you going to manifest? What are your priorities in that? And then what are your action items with it? And then from there, that's when you can start to put together a plan for manifesting. And again, it doesn't have to be about Reiki business. We just want to make sure for those of you that those are your questions, that we are talking about that for you. For those of you that business isn't part of your questions, this still all applies to your personal life. It still all applies to, the different things that you want for yourself. Like I say, to me, it is as valuable that I have, after all this time of really setting the intention to be in that place where I notice beauty, that I'm actually there. And I'll tell you, I have been setting that intention. I would say I actively started setting that intention and goal and stating affirmations for it, adding Reiki to it. And it's been there. So it's not like there's been a lack of it, but now I really notice the full benefit of it. And I'm still asking for it, because what I have noticed about noticing beauty is that takes me to gratitude. For me, it's the easiest way to get to gratitude is when I can notice beauty. And now, of course, nature is really beautiful here in Oregon right now, but also I can see beauty in my home. I can see beauty looking at all of you. I can see, beauty, and it helps me even to see it in myself. And what do I even mean by that? So again, manifestation doesn't have to be about, tangible business goals. if it is, this is a good place to investigate that. It can be about your own just personal place that you're in. That could be health. That could be something like, okay, I better manifest this sugar thing, dealing with this, because you know how it is. Once you eat it, then you want more. And so I've kind of been kind of self-indulgent around it. And now I have to do the undoing of it, So that's a particular goal. But what we find in this manifestation is, helping to clarify your intentions, helping to clarify some of your actionable steps, the energy, the Reiki energy that helps align you so that you are in alignment with what it is, and the practicality of what you want to manifest. Your effective use of resources, your ability to prioritize. And then one of the things I really asked about for this topic was the practicality and efficiency. That's another one that I ask for a lot, like, help me be efficient. And I like efficiency because, as like I say, an ADD person, I can wander, I can chase the squirrel or the shiny object over there, or the next new thing to think about, or the next new curiosity to follow, things like that. So I really ask for that efficiency to come in so that I can actually manifest in a practical way too. Reiki to me is very practical. Reiki is something that really brings us into our body, makes us aware that we are living in our daily life, and helping us to be clear in our daily life. And so it has that very practical, I guess we call it applied spirituality. It has a very practical application of that head and heart part of us. So anyway, I think that's enough of the discussion around it for right now. I think what we'll do is go ahead and go into the Reiki journey. And in this, for those of you that may be new here, we've been doing, creating the opportunity for free writing or automatic writing, which means that there will be the points that we'll ask questions during the journey, and you can put your pen to paper and let your pen just write without evaluating what you're doing. Not everybody loves to do that, so certainly not required. You can think about it or just be in the space of letting it come in. Oftentimes, too, some of this stuff drops in after the fact. So it could drop in an insight in the next week, where certain things pop in that make you realize that, oh, that's that answer that I've been waiting for.